This video is sponsored by Shortbox, the easiest way to buy and sell graded comic books. So I recently had a subscriber ask me to create another video on balance, specifically offering up some practical tips and pointers for balancing comics, work, family, and fitness. And so over the course of this video, I will endeavor to offer up some practical tips and pointers that might help. Now, with that said, because this is a 5 tips video, it's going to be impossible for me to put everything in this video. So I want to encourage you to watch this video. And if you have some additional tips and pointers, to leave those behind, because we can all benefit from those recommendations. With that said, let's get to the tips. Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. If you enjoyed this video, I want to encourage you to hit the thumbs up button, because our mission here is to help you to make sense of comic book collecting. With that said, the very first tip that I want to offer is to examine your situation. At the end of the day, you are the only one that can identify where you might be falling short, or where there are opportunities to improve, or where there are places that you feel like you need to improve. You also have to figure out how much time do you need to carve out for that thing, right? You have to essentially examine things and figure out where it is that you might need to focus your time, energy, and effort. Tip number 2 is to then prioritize. Once you identify where you're falling short or where you need to improve, you can prioritize that thing, because there are a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis that are important. But we should be able to rank order those things from the most important to the least important. And so by understanding where your true priorities are, then you can problem solve for that thing the right way. So for example, if you recently received a poor performance report at work, I would say that that's probably a priority area, right? That is an area for improvement. Going back to tip number 1, it is probably a priority if you like to eat and buy nice stuff and, clothe yourself, right? Having a job is probably an important thing. So that's something that probably needs to be prioritized above some of the other things that might be on your list. If your significant other is sending you signals that maybe you need to spend more time with them or whatever it might be, that might also be a priority for you. If your child isn't doing as well, that could be another area that again is a priority. So examine your situation. Figure out what needs to be improved, and then how important is that thing to you in the scheme of all the other important things that you have to do. Because again, not everything is important every day, and that'll actually come in pretty handy a little bit later in some of the other tips. Tip number 3 is to sacrifice something. And what I mean by that is, if you are prioritizing things, there are going to be some things that are going to be at the top of the list, and there's going to be some things at the bottom of the list. Some of those things that are at the bottom have to be chucked out. They are not priorities, therefore they can be sacrificed, because the reality is that we all get the same 24 hours in a day. And the question becomes, how are you going to spend your 24? That is what you have to decide. And so by prioritizing and sacrificing something, it should make it easy for you to free up some time that can be shifted to something that is truly important to you. And again, it goes back to the whole job thing. If you lose your job, that makes a lot of the other stuff tough. So you might need to shift that time again to make sure that you can improve your work situation, improve your life situation. So I think that sacrificing something is important. And I will tell you, I have done this. I've done this a lot, depending upon my stage in life, depending upon what I have going on, and also the day of the week, to be honest with you. When I landed my dream job many years ago, the thing that I chose to sacrifice was sleep. I honestly gave up sleep. And part of the reason for that is that I landed my dream job, it required a lot of time. For me to be successful, I had to dedicate a lot of time and energy and effort. I had a 2-hour commute each way every single day. And as a result of, having a job that was really important, having a wife at the time, and having a crazy commute, the thing that I sacrificed was sleep. I literally slept no more than 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday, for more than 2 years. That was the sacrifice that I made. Again, you fast forward a few years, I sleep a little bit more, a couple of hours, but my priorities have also changed. And so things have shifted as a result of that. Maybe you need to give up some time in the comic book room. Maybe you don't read comics as much. Maybe you sacrifice watching TV. Maybe it's the latest movie that you actually don't see. Maybe you don't go and hang out with your friends as much because you need to spend time in other aspects of your life that are more important. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the way that it has to be forever, as I've illustrated, depending upon how bad a hole you've dug for yourself. It could change in a few months, a few weeks even, right? It really depends, going back to number one, where is it that you need to improve and how much time will it take to improve that thing? Tip number 4 is to have a schedule. And depending upon how your mind works, that will land on people completely different. There are some people that need a written schedule that will literally pull out a piece of paper and schedule blocks of time and activities to make sure that they actually do the things that they need to do. And if that works for you, you do that thing. As someone that likes written goals, I actually don't like a written schedule. Instead, I have a framework in my mind that I follow. And depending upon the day of the week or the time of the day, I know when it's time to actually shift things. So when I was a competitive bodybuilder, for example, I would wake up at 5 a.m. I would wake up that early because I needed to do my cardio, I needed to shower, eat, and I did that before my kids woke up. And then I would do the family and work thing. And then in the evening, when they went to sleep, I would then go to the gym and I would work out in the evening for an hour, hour and a half. I would come home, I would shower, eat, and then do the exact same thing. Now, because I don't have to drive and I'm not a competitive bodybuilder, I wake up at 6 and I also don't have to go to work, right? I work from home now. So I wake up at 6. I will sometimes do some cardio. I will respond to your messages on Instagram or that have been left on my videos on YouTube. And I will also respond to work emails as well. Again, before my kids wake up. When they wake up, I made them breakfast. I then have breakfast. I shower. I do the work thing. And then at 3:30, 4 o'clock, I shut it down. There is no more work that happens after that because now I am focused on other things that are important, whether it be a honey-do list right now because we recently moved, or spending time with the kids. Like today, I watched them while they swam in the pool. The point here is that I have a framework that allows me to focus on the things that need to be focused on depending upon what's actually happening. Now, the other thing that I would say is that you cannot be too rigid, right? You have to be flexible and you have to make adjustments because potentially, depending upon your work schedule, you might need to do something different. Depending upon the day of the week versus the weekend, you may have to, again, shift your focus. So have a framework and a structure that actually makes sense for you that is also flexible depending upon what's going on. Tip number 5 is to hit it hard. Whatever that activity is that you have set aside time to do, you need to hit it hard and to do it. If it's sitting on the sofa relaxing, hit it hard. Like, go all in on sofa time. If you have set aside time to read a comic or do bagging and boarding, do that activity, because when the time comes for you to pivot to something else, you need to be prepared to make that pivot, because that's how you get the most out of whatever that activity actually is. So hit it hard. The other thing is, you cannot be afraid to pivot off if something isn't working. Here's what I mean by that. If I have set aside time to brainstorm videos because I need to record videos and the ideas are not flowing, the best thing that I could possibly do for myself is to pivot off of that activity, to go do something else. And you guys know this. One of my favorite activities, honestly, is to wash dishes. I hate to dry, but I like washing dishes. Why? Because washing dishes actually helps me tremendously. It also helps my wife because I'm contributing to the household duty. So I go and I wash dishes, but because it is a mundane activity where I can actually zone out, what happens is my mind relaxes. And as my mind relaxes, I'm actually being creative and innovative, and these ideas come to me for videos. And then I dry my hands off, I write myself a note on that video idea, I go back, I wash more dishes. Maybe another idea comes or it doesn't, but I've essentially killed two birds with one stone because I pivoted off of an activity and I went to do something else that was also constructive, and I hit it hard, right? I'm washing the dishes, they're all coming clean, but I'm also achieving some other things along the way. So again, hit it hard, be in the moment, but also allow inspiration to come in and run with that inspiration when it actually does. So there you have it. Those are my 5 practical tips for finding balance. And as I mentioned, this is not an exhaustive list, right? These are just 5 practical tips and pointers. And so to that end, I definitely want to encourage people to add some additional thoughts down in the comment section because your idea may resonate with someone. But if you did enjoy this video, I want to encourage you to hit the thumbs up button because it is good for the algorithm. And if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.